In this quick video guide, we're going to see how we can work together with Modeler, which is this one right here that you're seeing, and Blender. So we can do modeling, 3D modeling, sculpting, and painting, digital painting, and we can use both if we want. Now, this is the interface of 3D Modeler, and if you want to know a little bit more, you can check an entire lesson about Modeler in the channel. You will find it in the Substance 3D playlist. So I'm just going to go quick here just to show you the import-export features. Now, right now, when you start Modeler, you usually will be in the clay tool section where you can like define a brush or a tool, and you can like model it real quick by changing the dimensions, and everything looks like working with clay, working with some plastic material. So you can move, rotate, scale, adjust the shape, and then when you're ready you can click apply, and that's gonna actually create an object. So if I now move this down, you can see I can continue to apply and then continue to move forward. This is similar to what happens in some video game engines, like Unreal Engine, for example. Now let's jump into Blender. I'm gonna delete the initial cube. I'm gonna add quickly a monkey head mesh from the add mesh and monkey head, which is called Suzanne actually. And I'm gonna apply modifier real quick to increase the subdivisions or the number of polygons. So I'm gonna go to generate subdivision surface. I'm gonna increase the subdivisions, and then I'm gonna hit apply. And there you go. Now I have the actual polygons in there. You can see how many polygons are in there. We can also shade smooth if you want to see those faces of the polygonal object. Now, once you're ready, well, we can continue in Blender doing sculpting and painting as well. And again, this is covered in the full Blender video course that you can get, and if you're interested, or you can check like the first videos of the Blender video course if you want to know more, if you don't know how to use it. Now, Blender, it's open source and free. You can download it and use it real quick, real easy and free. And I'm just gonna go to file here and export. So if you want to use this in Modeler or Painter or any other Substance 3D tool, you need to use FBX or OBJ or GLB or GLTF. The most popular formats are these. So in this case, I want to save it as FBX. I choose a folder here, and I'm just going to type a name for this export. So I'm going to call this like monkey head. And then if I want, I can only export the selected objects. And I have a bunch of options here, which I'm not going to go through here. Just going to quickly export the mesh, export the 3D model by hitting export FBX. And that's it. That's what we can do here in Blender, or well, the basic things, of course. And now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and let's go into Substance 3D Modeler. Now, Substance 3D Modeler, again, it's only part of the Substance 3D package. So Blender is totally free and open source. Substance 3D instead is part of Adobe software, so you need to buy it or like create an account for a monthly subscription or something like that. So anyway, you need to get Substance 3D anyhow, and once you have it, you can open up the 3D modeler and you can start to use it. I'm gonna go to File here and import mesh. That's the first thing we can do. You cannot import a scene because a scene is supposed to be a modeler scene. So in this case, we want to import just an object, just another type of object. So I'm going to go to import mesh. And here where it says no file selected, I'm going to click. That's a button that is going to let me go in the folder where I saved the exported Blender file. So I'm going to go and search for the folder here, this one here. And you can see I have also a GL, well, I have two formats. To know there, I can go to the properties and see the format. This is FBX. Right click and go to properties, and that's going to be GLB, which are they can be both used in Modeler, but I'm going to use FBX. And these are also the other formats. So you can use FBX, GLB, GLTF, STL, OBJ, and a lot of other popular formats. So let's go and open, and then I can define a unit scale or let the software detect the unit scale. And I can define an apox, but I'm gonna leave epsilon. And well, I'm just gonna leave everything as it is. I don't wanna like change anything here. I'm just gonna go quickly import, and you just need to wait a few seconds, and there you go. That's the mesh right there. Now the mesh is going to be imported into another layer. So in order to work with that, I need to select it. So right now I am still in the clay mode. So to switch, well, I can also move around holding the Alt key and pressing the left mouse, the middle mouse, and the right mouse to orbit and pan and zoom. And I can also use the scroll wheel to zoom. Those are the navigation features. And so I need to move from clay tool, which is used to paint, basically using different shapes, and also using stamps, which is another option I'm going to show you in just a minute. So we need to switch in selection mode. Now in selection mode, I can select the model and move it around, rearrange it. I can move it in 2D on a plane. I can rotate it. I can move it 3D, and I can rotate it again with the little circle. I can also scale it using that little white dot. So I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. And there you go. So I can adjust it and place it. And I can assemble a scene in Modeler. This is something that's really interesting that you cannot do in Substance Painter, for example. So you can do it here. Now, another option is to import mesh as stamp. You can also import images and textures, by the way, but let's import mesh as stamps, which means that I can use this as a brush, as a stamp. So you just need to wait until it says new stamp added. And then if you go in the clay tools and go to the stamps, you can see now we have this monkey stamp right there. So I can move it around. Let's make it a little bit bigger by pressing again on the little white dot. So I can move it around. And then if I hit apply, that's going to create more copies. It's like painting. It's like, adding clay. You can also like merge them together. Well, now I want to do them separate. Now for this one here, if I go back to select tool, select mode, and select it, to work on this one here, we need to convert it to clay. So you hit the button there on the bottom right, and that's going to convert the mesh into a clay object. What does it mean? It means that now I can start to paint on that object. I can start to sculpt. I can start to use all the different tools that you have on the left. So you have eraser tools, warp tools, you have smoothing tools, you have, and for all of this, you have parameters, by the way. And then you have build up tools, crease tools, which are really similar to what happens also in ZBrush and in Mudbox, all the most popular sculpting tools out there. So it's, this could be another option. And also you can sculpt and paint again directly in Blender. Now, once the conversion is finished, you can start to do things. So for example, let's start to warp. So I can click and modify the mesh, and I can start to smooth things around where there is like creased, and I can also use the build up to kind of add materials on the surface, and I can change the hardness, I can change the size, I can change the strength, and that's going to affect the way I can sculpt. So again, I'm just going to go quick here, but if you want to know more, there is an entire lesson dedicated to these tools. Let's jump into the paint and just going to paint real quick just to show you that you can export not only the sculpting and the modeling, but also the 3D painting here. And again, you can adjust the size, the hardness, the rate, and other things. Now, once you're ready, let's go back to Blender. So you can like go back and forward into Modeler and Blender. And here in the export, you have presets. So in this case, I want to choose Blender, but you have other options like Maya, or you have like a real engine, and 3D printing, general 3D printing, Stager, Painter, which are other software of Substance. Now in this case, I want to, of course, choose Blender. As a format, again, you can use FBX, GLB, GLTF, and all these others. I'm going to go for GLTF because I know that that's going to export surely the textures as well, or the painting. I can define the uniscale, the up axis. I can choose if I want to export everything or just the selection. And here I can choose between quads or triangles. And when you choose that, you can also define how many polygons you want to export. So you can choose a target polygon count, or you can also use a raw mesh so that it's not gonna like change or optimize. It's just gonna export the raw mesh with all the polygons, which is gonna be a really big file, by the way. So be careful there. You may wanna use some optimization and decrease the number of polygons. Then you can export hidden objects. You can export the vertex colors and other things here that we don't really care right now. So I'm just gonna export, choose a folder, choose a name of the file. So just want to go in the same folder. There you go, where I exported before. I'm just gonna call this monkey modeler or monkey head modeler. So I know that that's the modified version of that monkey head that we exported from Blender. Now again, you need to wait, and just gonna make this a little bit smaller so we can see Blender behind. I can make it smaller than this. So let's go in Blender. I'm just gonna move this aside and go into Blender. And now I'm gonna go to File and Import and GLTF. Navigate into the folder where I exported the last file and then import. And again, you just need to wait. Now, if you created a big file with a lot of polygons, you need to wait more. So be patient, and eventually it's going to load. And this could take, a few minutes depending on how big is your scene. There you go. So I now delete the previous monkey head, and this is the scene that I have created in Modeler with all the sculpting, all the details. And if I go up here, I can change the type of visualization. So if I want to see material, I want to go in the third sphere. And if I want to render this out, I can go to the first sphere. I can also have a look to the wireframe here in the viewport overlays. I can activate the wireframe, and you can see how dense it is. So how big it is, how heavy. And you probably don't want to have a heavy object like this unless you want to sculpt also in Blender, which you can do, or paint in Blender. Now, fourth sphere is the rendering. So I can jump into the rendering and I can start using lights and move the lights around and see a little bit better those sculpted details. And that's it. So this will be all for this video guide. I'm just going to change into cycles here. If you want to know more about Substance 3D or Blender, check the other courses. Subscribe to stay updated for more courses and guides. And also, if you want to thank us, join the channel as a supporter. See you in the next.